All right, Larry Kruger here from the Pig and a Pickle Crew Show with a little review of JT O'Sullivan's quarterback school show this week on Brock Purdy. And we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville or Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle. Go get the brisket chili. Say hi to Damon and Mary and tell them the Krug sent you. And this video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. I'm loving Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, but you can win real money. This week, I am going with this is my pick of the week, my picks of the week in Underdog. I'm going Justin Herbert, lower than 264.5 passing yards. Mark Andrews, higher than 50.5 receiving yards. Joe Burrow, higher than 259.5 passing yards. Amari Cooper, higher than 55.5 receiving yards. And Lamar Jackson, higher than 220.5 passing yards. Well, one of my favorite shows on YouTube is JT O'Sullivan's QB School, where he kind of goes through a bunch of different plays. And he does different quarterbacks, but this one was on Brock Purdy. And he goes through the film and he looks at, the 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, key plays each week and takes his takeaways. And there were several good ones this week. I mean, JT, I would encourage everybody to go check out his quarterback school. Some of it is behind a paywall, some of it's free on YouTube. But he went to the 1st and 10 play on I guess the first one was the 1st and 10 play on the 13-yard line when Purdy found Ayuk. The no, yes, 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 yes. And he just kind of showed how, Purdy on the naked bootleg off the play action on the quarterback keeper to his left, and he just lofted it to Ayuk, who pushed off the defender for the touchdown. A little bit of living on the edge, but what he really liked was just the fact that Purdy made an off-schedule play, and the line gave him some time. The route combination wasn't what he wanted, right? Because Kittle and Ayuk both worked back to the middle of the end zone. Nobody went to the corner, so the spacing wasn't right. And you had Brock kind of, late in the down, floating it with not a lot on it in the middle of the field to Ayuk, and Ayuk makes a little push off on the defender to create the space and then made the catch for the touchdown. And this kind of shows the creativity of Brock, also kind of the problem with Brock. I mean, he lives on the edge a little bit. He's thrown 33 college interceptions. He tries to make plays all the time, which is a great thing. But sometimes you got to know when to throw it away and go to the next play. But you don't want to kill the kid's aggressiveness. I liked his aggressiveness, but I mean, to me, it's like he probably should have put that ball a little bit further to the inside and created a situation where Ayuk was a little bit more open. There was a defender on the far side as well. So it was a play that Kyle Shanahan said was one of Brock's worst plays since he's been a 49er, and yet it resulted in a touchdown. Kyle said it took him a long time to get over it. Just as we talked about this, it's a bad play when late in the down, you're throwing the ball kind of up for grabs in the middle of the field where there's a bunch of defenders and all kinds of people that can make a play on the ball. On one hand, you love to see him going for the aggressiveness of trying to make a play. On the other hand, you're living dangerously and eventually you're going to get burned. But it was a nice play design as far as, JT was going through the play design, 1st and 10 from the 13, and it's the naked bootleg play action quarterback keeper. Brock moves to his left, shows that mobility, set his feet, had a perfect base, had a beautiful look at the whole thing. Probably should have just kept running and slid down and went to the next down. Instead, Ayuk and Kittle worked back to the middle of the end zone, and he lofted it into a crowd, and it found Ayuk's hands, and Ayuk did the nice push off to create the space. And it was one of those plays. It wasn't a great play, but at the same time, you like Brock being aggressive as a playmaker. But that's the play that he probably should just put away. That's the play where he probably should have just ran it, slid down, and went to the next play. But still, it was great to see the creativity, and sure enough, it resulted in a touchdown. So that one was definitely a nice looking touchdown, but it was one of those risk reward plays. He got away with it this time, so way to go. But he broke all these rules that you just don't want to see him break, which are, late in the down, middle of the field, lofting it in a crowd, lots of defenders, not a lot on it. In fact, that was the ball that I felt like he had intercepted the most this summer, where he's just trying to create something, and throws it into a crowd with not a lot on it late in the down, in the middle of the field, especially if he's moving either way. But he had a great look at it. It wasn't like there's a defender in his face. And, you want to trust your quarterback to play freely, especially if he has a good look at it. But once again, put a little bit more on it, lead Ayuk further away from the crowd, don't loft it in the middle of the field. The second play they talked about was that 1st and 10 play in the first quarter from the Niners' own 38-yard line, where Purdy went to Ayuk on an in route. And it was a great route by Ayuk. I mean, there was a shift pre-snap, then a little play action. Kittle was on the post. Juice was in motion, and Purdy rolls away and then looks back. It's 22 personnel. He had Warner open underneath on the check down and threw it to Ayuk. The greatness in this play, when you watched it again, was the route running from Ayuk. That, he didn't just run the in route, he ran the in route at full speed, and he created separation at the top of the route by running that in route with speed. And that's where he gained the separation. The defender was with him until he put his right leg in the ground and cut to the inside on the in route. But it was the speed at which he went to the in route that created that separation. And credit Brock. I mean, it was a beautiful window. It wasn't a huge window, but it was a window, and Brock recognized the window. He recognized he had Warner open on the check down on the same trajectory. And, he rolled away, looks back, and was decisive and accurate and put it right on Ayuk for a nice gain on 1st and 10 from the 38. So I thought it was great from a lot of standpoints. It was a great route by Ayuk. He ran it with conviction. It was a great play design because really when Brock rolls away and looks back, he doesn't just have Ayuk on the in route. He had Warner on the option on the option was open on the check down right in front of him as well. So he had both guys open, and Brock stays aggressive on this play. Ayuk created the space, and Brock threw it on time with accuracy, a flat out dime, good base on the throw, got a lot on it, zipped it right to Ayuk. I mean, it was a sharp looking pass play from Purdy for sure, and a great route by Ayuk. Then they broke down the 3rd and 8 play from the 27, where it's just an out route. It's just an out route from Purdy to Jennings, but it's versus tight man coverage. And what I loved about this one is it just, there wasn't a lot of room here. And if Purdy's not accurate, this easily could have been a pick six. There's not a single defender, or there's not a single offensive player between the defender and the end zone on the out route. But Purdy put it right where he needed to put it. He threw it as he was breaking to the outside. He led him 2 steps to the sideline. And so even though it's a 3rd and 8 play, they're trying to stay on the field. This is like Jennings money down, right? Jennings is so good on 3rd downs. And where's he really good? He's great on these 3rd down out routes. And he runs the out with precision, and Purdy put it on his hands. But to me, this one was the precision throw because the coverage was there. It's a 3rd and 8 play, and they know that Jennings is going to run this route because he runs the out route a lot. He knows he's kind of like the safety valve. This is where the Niners look in a lot of situations on a 3rd and 8. They're looking for Jennings on the out route. But the coverage was really, really tight. I mean, the guy was on him at the line of scrimmage. There was no separation. If Brock throws that behind him, it's an incompletion. If he throws it 2 steps behind him, it's a pick six. Instead, he leads them perfectly right to the sideline. And it's just a perfect precision throw by Purdy. And it was the kind of throw that kind of shows that Brock has an understanding. But at the end of the day, a lot of times it's just about accuracy. Put it right on Jennings' hands, right in the perfect spot. And even though it was tight man-to-man coverage, it was first down. Great play by Purdy. Great absolute precision dime. All right, let's go to the next play. It went 3rd and 4 from the 14. And this is when, basically Brock took a sack on this play. On this play, Jacksonville came with a 7-man pressure. The Niners had the 6 blockers. And, I thought that Brock probably should have thrown the ball away, but he's trying to make a play, trying to make a play, trying to make a play. And Debo was open on the post. And they showed it afterwards, and it would be easy for anybody to go, oh, how did he not hit Debo there? But Jennings didn't run a route. There was some miscommunication. The ball needed to come out really quick because of the 7-man pressure and the 6 blockers the 49ers had. And Purdy wanted to make a play in the pass game, probably should have recognized it quicker and threw the ball out of the back of the end zone and gone on to 4th down. Instead, he took a sack there. Now, it's not nightmare because they were still in field goal range, but he took a sack on 3rd and 4 from the 14 when, if he could have held it for another half second, he didn't have the time because the Niners actually blocked it pretty decently considering it was a 7-man pressure. If he had another half second, he had a touchdown to a wide open Debo on the post. Instead, and then there was obviously some miscommunication because you had 2 different receivers. I think it was Kittle and Jennings who didn't really run routes. Purdy knew that the ball needed to come out quick, but then when he saw that he had extra time, he kind of moved a little bit within the pocket and then just slid down and took the sack. It was the kind of play that you don't want to necessarily see because you're like, oh, man, and when you look at it again, you're like, he missed Debo. But at the same time, the real mistake was there was some miscommunication with the receivers. As I said, a couple guys didn't run routes, and really there, more than anything, you just want to see Purdy throw that ball away. And he didn't. He didn't throw it away there. So that one was kind of a questionable decision. Then they had the 3rd quarter touchdown. This was another beautiful play. The Kittle, the Purdy to Kittle on the wheel route against Devin Lloyd. Devin Lloyd was playing man-to-man coverage. Niners are coming out of the tunnel with the first possession of the 3rd quarter. They're at 2nd and 1 from their own 35, and Purdy hits Kittle on a wheel route against Devin Lloyd, who was playing man-to-man coverage, and he had Ayuk on the crosser open as well. But the impressive part on this one was the arm strength. He looks like he wants to go to Ayuk on the crosser, which was open, and he pumped it. But then he was operating from a muddy pocket. So he was right. I mean, the pressure was right there. He couldn't follow through, but he decides he's going to cock it back and after he pumps it to Ayuk, that he's going to deliver it down the field to Kittle, but he couldn't step into it at all. He couldn't finish. He couldn't follow through at all. So it was an all-arm throw to Kittle on the wheel route. And Brock recognized that, Lloyd was on a man-to-man and that Kittle was creating a little separation. Kittle kind of was on the line and then moved out like he was going to the sideline and then kind of gave that out and up wheel route look. And he just had Lloyd in a trail position. Lloyd is an inside backer who's not used to covering that far down the field. And Purdy put it on Kittle, and it wasn't like he just lofted it. Kittle had to come back for it. He actually threw Kittle open. Kittle had gotten a step and a half or 2 on Lloyd, but Purdy showed enough arm strength to just lead him down the field. I mean, it was an arm strength throw. So, I mean, it's like people who sit there and go, oh, man, Brock's got a rag arm. Brock's got dink and dunk. Brock can't make deep throws. Well, go watch that one. I mean, he literally cocks it like he's going to go to Purdy or go to Ayuk and then sees that Kittle's got a step or 2 on Lloyd and then quickly recocks it. And without being able to step into it or follow through, he flicks it off his back foot down the field and led Kittle away from the defender. The accuracy, the recognition, the aggressiveness, and most importantly, the arm strength all just come screaming out when you watch that play. Phenomenal play to watch again, and JT did a great job breaking that one down. Let's go to the next one. It was a third quarter, 3rd and 9 play from the 20-yard line. Purdy went to Ayuk. It was a little angle route to Ayuk, and it went for 20 yards. It was a huge momentum play. Now this I thought was a clutch play from Brock Purdy. This is after Ambry Thomas forces the fumble and the 49ers run it back for a touchdown. Oh, but they had guys coming off the sideline. So, oh no, it's 1st and 10 at the 19. So now you're sitting there, you're still up pretty big in the game, but you're now in your own 19-yard line. Well, they don't do anything on 1st and 2nd down. So they get to 3rd and 9. And this is where Brock Purdy picked up the Niners sideline and picked up the whole team with this play. This was, in some ways, the biggest play of the game. It was a huge momentum play for Purdy. It was a great throw by Purdy, and really, if you look at it, he kept his base. He kept his base was perfect, amount of space. As far as his setup, his legs were in a perfect spot. He wasn't overextended in any way. It was a 3 wide receiver deal, and Debo ran the over route out of the slot, and you had Jennings running the corner route, and then you have Purdy, and he sees there's a little bit of rush. He has a slight movement in the pocket, and he throws, a beautiful pass to Ayuk on a little bit of almost looked like a comeback and an out. Like it was almost like he was going to run like a button curl off the right side and curl back to the middle, but then he went out to the sideline, and Purdy saw the void and just absolutely great arm strength and precision and accuracy, throws an absolute dime, and he threw it right to the open spot. Another example of people who say the guy doesn't have any arm strength. When he can keep his base, he has tremendous arm strength, enough arm strength to compete in the NFL for sure. And maybe the week off helped him because his arm strength in this particular game really looked better than it's looked at other times for sure. But this throw right here, I mean, both of these, the Kittle on the wheel route touchdown, that was a great arm strength example. But this one I thought was kind of the key pass of the game because he turns a 3rd and 9 from the 20 into a 1st and 10 at the 40. All because of a perfect pass, perfect location, understanding the defense, understanding where the void was, and just put it right in the void. And he put something on it with accuracy to the sideline, 20-yard completion on 3rd and 9, back-breaking play for the Jaguars. Niners scored on the end around a couple plays later to Debo, but we'll get to that in a second. But just this play, I thought was a huge, huge momentum play, and it kind of shows the clutch gene that Purdy really does have. Then let's go to the next play. It was a 2nd and 9 play from the Niner 42. And this was Purdy with a seam route to Kittle. It was an empty set. There was no backs in the backfield. Purdy looked right, held the defender with his eyes, and then quickly snaps left and decisively hits Kittle on the seam route with an absolute BB. And it was a fantastic, first of all, the accuracy, but the lack of hesitation, the understanding of where your receivers are, the understanding of coverage, just there was no time here. He looked right. He held the defender with his shoulders and then snapped back left. And man, as soon as he looks left, the ball is coming out and he hit Kittle on a rope. This is the one where Kittle went up, made the catch, and kind of took a big hit. Beautiful seam route. But to me, it was how quickly Brock went through his progressions, how much juice he had on that ball, how much accuracy he had on the ball. And also, when you can start manipulating defenders in the middle of the field with your eyes or your shoulders, that's high-level stuff. We're talking about a young player who hasn't been in this offense for very long. I mean, it just kind of shows that there's a veteran quarterback in there from all those reps that he got at Iowa State. I mean, to just rip that seam route to Kittle after you're looking right, and to hold that defender in the middle with your shoulders, and then you snap back to the left, and the ball came out like he knew exactly where Kittle was going to be in that seam route, and he just delivered an absolute laser strike to him. So that was a phenomenal play. It was a great catch by Kittle to go up in a crowd, or wasn't really in a crowd, but go up, catch it, and take the big hit. But it was also great recognition from Purdy. He knew what he had on the backside. He didn't dilly dally on that first look. He looked up to the right, wasn't there. Boom, flipped it over, and all of a sudden the ball's coming out, and he knew exactly where he wanted to put it. He put it up high between defenders. Really nice pass. The accuracy was impressive, but the way his manipulation of the defender in the middle of the field, to me, was what stood out on that play. Then there's the 1st and 10 from the 22 on the end around to Debo. And this was fun to watch from the all 22. This was Charlie Warner, with a little motion in and then a sprint out, and Trent Williams being, pulling around, and they're running at number 31, the Jaguar corner. And the corner is just, this guy just is in retreat mode. But what I loved about this play wasn't, Trent and Warner, blowing away this corner who basically ran for his life, and even had Brendel down the field blocking. I thought both those were fun to watch. And obviously Debo, very creative on the end around. He's very dangerous in the open field. But to me, it was the backside wide receiver seal blocks that really made this play. Both wide receivers sealed their men on the backside and created tons of room. And so you had no pursuit going to the outside because the wide receivers for the Niners, I think it was Ayuk and Jennings, blocked so well on this play. And then you had Trent and Warner against one corner, and the corner wanted no part, and Debo just kind of sifted his way through the traffic and got in for the touchdown. And that was pretty much the backbreaker for the game. But Trent and Warner get the highlights for making this cornerback, basically say Roberto Duran, no mas. I want no part of this. And Debo obviously gets the headline for scoring the touchdown. But what I loved is when JT ran back the film, and you can see Ayuk with the seal, and you could see, I think it was Jennings with the seal. Both of them, tremendous blocks on, wide receivers blocking on an end around. That's you want to talk about culture and why you have good vibes in the Niner locker room. It's because their wide receivers block, with the same, joy and energy and focus and determination that they, run routes with and catch touchdowns with. And that's when you have that kind of thing going on, you got a great culture. The other play that they went through that I thought was kind of interesting, it was a 2nd and 7 play from the 22. And you had, once again, Purdy on the naked boot, quarterback keeper, and he found Juice in the end zone for a touchdown. And, you get the quarterback outside of the pocket, naked bootleg, quarterback keeper, and he's got Juice sitting there in the middle of the field. And what I loved about this one is Purdy pointed to the void. You had Juice moving, with obviously with his back to the defense. He doesn't know exactly where the defenders are. And you got Purdy basically pointing to the void, like, here is where the ball's going to come. The defense, he could, Purdy's looking at the play. He knows there's defenders on both sides of Juszczyk, and that Juszczyk is drifting closer to another defender. And so he points to the void of where he's going to go. And you see the subtle movement of Juszczyk. He stopped moving across the formation and started drifting back towards the ball. If without that point, that may have been an incompletion. But I love that right there from Purdy. The sense of timing, leading your receiver to an open spot. In this case, you're kind of pointing to him to sit down in the zone, and then put a laser on him, put it right on him for a touchdown. So that was another really nice play to watch. And JT kind of went back through that one. And, I guess the last one was the 3rd and 6 seam pass. The Niners had 3rd and 6 from the Jaguar 35, and Purdy throws a seam route to Ronnie Bell in the void up the left seam and subtle pocket movement. I mean, this is another one. You had Purdy. It looked like the Jaguars were running some form of a loop up front, and Purdy keeps his eyes posted down the field on Ronnie Bell up that left seam, led him into the void. But the great part of this play was the subtle pocket movement that Brock had, where he sees the looping defensive lineman and just moves slightly to his right to stay off of a collision course with that looping defensive lineman, bought himself an extra half second or so, and then delivered a beautiful seam route right to Ronnie Bell in the void of the defense for a first down. And it just kind of shows that Brock was on one this weekend. He was locked in. He made play after play after play. And, I mean, JT does a great job on quarterback school. I would recommend it highly to anybody. If you don't watch film, it's a great way to learn a little bit about the game. And I'm sure you could probably do his Patreon deal and learn even more. But he just kind of showed with the plays that he went through this week how surgical Brock Purdy was Sunday against the Jaguars. How, he really executed these plays over and over again, that he threw the ball with great precision, that he showed creativity, that he has that playmaker ability. And a lot of it's about, a good understanding of what the defense is doing, a good understanding of a good rapport with his own receivers, throwing with a solid base, which I felt like he did really, really well in this game, and just demonstrating both understanding, accuracy, arm strength, precision, a lot of the things that people don't really talk that much about when they're talking about a quarterback. They don't talk about, the precision of the position, or, your ability to read coverage, or your ability to lead your receivers to the voids in the defense, or, what kind of accuracy do you have? What kind of arm strength do you have? Do you have an understanding of what you're watching? Do you throw from a solid base? Do you have good lower body mechanics? Are you a playmaker? Are you aggressive? In this game, he balanced, obviously, the desire to take care of the football with all of those traits and trying to stay aggressive and make a play, and he made several. And the Niners go to Jacksonville and they rout the Jaguars. And, really the one that stands out that people will remember was the first one to Ayuk that Shanahan said, "Hey, man, no, 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 yes, 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 yes." It's like, and he benefited. There's no question. He benefited off of a little bit of luck and a little bit of Ayuk pushing off and Ayuk having great ball skills. And just, that was the bad play that he got away with for a touchdown. But then when you go watch the number of plays that he made in this game and all the things that go into them as far as the understanding of the route combinations and the coverage, where the void is going to be in the defense, and recognizing when you have more time to throw, and subtle movements in the pocket to avoid looping defenders off stunt actions, defensive line stunts, and just all the different things that go into playing the position. The guy put on a clinic this weekend in Jacksonville. All right, great video by JT O'Sullivan, and I would encourage everybody to go check out his quarterback school. He does absolutely amazing stuff. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you click that, check that link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, and they'll match you up to $100. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.